Alright, today we got a video that I thought would be fun to watch from the channel, Animation Hustle, the animation legend who storyboarded over 150 Simpsons episodes, which already is a phenomenal title, like, got my interest right away. Plus, I've always had a thing for storyboarding. I wanted to be a storyboarder for a while growing up. Never did anything with it though. Closest thing to storyboarding that I do is thumbnailing my comic books, which actually I guess is considered storyboarding, so checkmate. Dream complete. I think what makes storyboarding so appealing to me is it hits all of the parts of creating that I like. Your drawings gotta be messy as fuck. Fine details? Pfft, who needs them? I see that as meaning you just get a blast through the story. And a majority of the time, the drawings are only the characters in important sections. That means little to no backgrounds, little to no props. Hell freaking yeah, brother. So let's get this started. I want to hear some secrets of how to master comedy storyboarding.
This is Brad Ableson, an animation director who is absolutely crushing it in the animation industry. From storyboarding over 150 episodes of The Simpsons to co-directing The Minions 2, a near billion-dollar box office smash hit, Brad has mastered the art of animated comedy. In a highly competitive industry, Brad has built a career on making audiences laugh. With all of his success, it's crazy to think he got his first job on The Simpsons as a teenager. Keep watching because at the end, he'll give some inspiring tips on how to pitch your own shows.
Always looking for, and that's the hardest thing.
And even drops a shocking storyboard portfolio hot take that you might not expect.
Believe it or not, really good artists are a dime a dozen. Really good action storyboard artists are a dime a dozen. Really good...
Don't glitch out the answer. What's the answer? Man, now we gotta watch the whole thing to figure out what that answer is. Better not be something as obvious as comedy artists. What if the answer is like furry artists? Good artists? Pff, yeah, they come a dime a dozen, but those furry artists, diamonds in the rough.
What inspired you to want to be an animator?
The simple answer is The Simpsons.
The Simpsons series premiere January 14th.
As a kid, I was into cartoons like a normal kid, not like obsessed with them. I liked them, but it wasn't something I was like necessarily, planning on doing with my life. And then The Simpsons started when I was 13 or 14 years old. It changed everything. It never occurred to me, even when I was obsessed with The Simpsons in high school, that I could work on the show. It wasn't until when I was at USC, the summer between my sophomore and junior year, and I have this animation teacher, and he's just like, dude, you draw The Simpsons so good, you love it so much, you should apply for a job on The Simpsons. I was like, you can do that? He's like, yeah, what do you got to lose?
I don't know, maybe just something like my ego, my pride, the realization that my art sucks.
Long story short, I applied and I got the job on The Simpsons when I was 19 years old in college. And I couldn't freaking believe it. It was beyond a dream come true because I didn't even know it was a dream I could have.
At 19, I don't think I was actually confident enough in my art to go to the distance like that. When I was home for the holidays, I actually went through some old boxes of my art to go down memory lane. And it's so weird to like remember drawing them years ago and loving everything. But, you get better and better throughout the years if you keep up your drawing. So when I looked at these doodles again with the skill level that I'm at now, I was just like, damn. These are some goofy-ass drawings. Maybe I'll say that with the art that I'm doing now, just 10 years down the line when I get even better.
I was like, hell yeah. So that's what I did for the junior and senior year of USC. I was working almost full-time, on The Simpsons while I was taking all my film school classes. It was nuts. I didn't sleep for 2 years, but it was the greatest 2 years of my life.
Why is no sleep, or like barely any sleep, just such like a prominent factor in the creative community? When it's your side hustle or passion, like yeah, you gotta grind off hours. But when it's your sole job and main source of income, I don't know, I just think a good night's rest is severely underrated. I've just personally never created solid stuff when I'm running on fumes. So I'm projecting. I guess I'm projecting.
I was on The Simpsons for 20 years. For most of those 20 years, I was a storyboard artist.
Sorry, real quick, I just I really fuck with this like tiki background thing he's got going on. Dude looks like he's taking zooms from the islands, the restaurant.
So this one year, I storyboarded a Halloween, segment called Night of the Dolphins.
And give my approval to this dolphin internment camp? I don't think so.
Lisa, dolphins love to wear clothes and jump through flaming hoops. It's all part of God's plan.
This is what it's all about. Crappy rush drawings, just the characters, the only part you really want to draw. The background, fuck it.
So it was really funny and crazy, but part of what made it so fun is I was good friends with the writer and I was good friends with the director. Normally this didn't happen, but like in that situation, they were both like, we all kind of were like riffing and working together, and they kind of let me go off script and go buck wild with like really ambitious camera moves and violence and all kinds of stuff that wasn't necessarily in the script.
They let me go buck wild with the violence. That is awesome. You're being interviewed for like Pixar or something. In his interview, the title on his lower thirds just, well, you know, I primarily focus on the violence and anything remotely violent or related to violence. That's a legendary title. Holy shit.
Probably my favorite experience, and it came out great. It's still, I think, one of the funniest.
It's cool how the random characters all petting the dolphin are just like bald and featureless. Like for the storyboarder in this very moment, you probably only need to get a body count of how many characters are on screen in this scene. So they forego any details because that's just not important right now.
Big game changer for the whole industry. But Simpsons was one of the first shows to start with it. Was being able to make your own animatics or rough animatics. It was a little controversial when it first happened, because we were first given the software Storyboard Pro and told, you don't mess with the timing or the timeline, just draw on it. You use it to draw your panels. Well, me and this other storyboard artist named Lucas Gray, we shared an office, and we were pretty young and ambitious and eager to please. We were just excited at the like potential of the software where you could bring in the audio and actually like work to the audio and plot out little camera moves and see it in real time.
Oh, so it's just Adobe Flash.
And so even though they told us not to, we took this one episode and we just made animatics, and we didn't tell anybody until our storyboard meeting. And we were like, hey, like, I know you didn't ask us to do this, but like, we couldn't help. We got excited. Like, here's like a rough animatic. And the timing was rough. We weren't like trying to make it perfect. We pushed play, and you just saw an animatic. Like it was very obvious when stuff was working. Like when camera moves, poses were hitting on the right, moments, it just felt right. And like we didn't have to talk about it because it was just working. And then when something was a little weird, we'd stop the movie and we talk about it. But we ended up having such a fast meeting that the directors were like, why isn't everybody doing this? And we were like, yeah, they can. And then we had a big meeting with all the storyboard artists where the directors were like, so from now on, we want you guys to do what Brad and Lucas just did, make your own animatics. And all the other storyboard artists were pissed. They're like, what? We're not being paid to be editors. We're not being paid to be timers. We're not getting extra time. What the hell?
And thus, the concept of overworking animators outside their pay grade was born. Oh, thanks a lot, Brad. Well, what's next? The animators gotta market and promote the shows they worked on too?
We made enemies very quickly with the rest of the storyboard artists. And we were like, well, we weren't trying to be rebels or anything. It just creatively unlocked so much potential for us to like feel like we were filmmakers.
This is actually a really cool thing to be at the helm for. I know he's saying the rest of the team got pissed for what he did doing this, but I see it as kind of nice to be able to craft the entire thing in one presentation. Like, it's all up to you, and what everyone sees is like what you made. It's your stuff. Your flair, your jokes, your composition. I don't know. I think that's cool.
I'd say after about 5 years on The Simpsons of just loving every minute of it and absorbing all.
Sorry, I keep pausing, I know, but I mean, come on, look at that. Dude's rocking the raised eyebrow smirk combo. Part smolder, part mewing.
All this information and pinching myself every day that I was working on my favorite show. So after about 5 years that I kind of got that itch that, okay, I feel like now I have like a good handle on this. I want to do my own show. I want to be the Matt Groening. So I began developing my own idea for a show. And I did what I would recommend anybody does who's trying to break out from just, not that there's anything wrong with just being a storyboard artist on a show, but if you want to be a creator, no one's going to hand you that opportunity. You have to make something.
Hell freaking yeah, brother. That continues to be like one of the best pieces of advice. Make stuff. Just freaking make stuff. Don't wait around for an opportunity. Don't wait around for someone else to give you the chance. Show me what you got. Rick and Morty.
I made a really ambitious short film. I decided to make a kind of a hybrid live action animated short. It's called Save Virgil. It's on YouTube. It's very, very dirty. But this short film was essentially a pilot for a show I wanted to make. It turned out to be extremely ambitious and extremely expensive, but man, it was a great experience.
Was that him just like suckling? Was he nursing the teat? Okay. Hey, I mean, draw what you want.
I was working on The Simpsons by day, but I used my own money. I maxed out every credit card I could get. And I funded this really expensive, ambitious short film where first we shot the live action, but I had everything storyboarded for the cartoon characters. Making it sound really easy, but it was like a 2 or 3 year massive undertaking.
Damn, 2 to 3 years? I mean, good for you, man. Like, that is fucking impressive.
I had to do that in order to like learn the whole process. Like when you work as a storyboard artist or an animator, that's just one small part of the big picture. But when you make your own film, you learn it all. And so it was a great experience. And it did exactly what I was hoping it would do, is it got me some attention as a, someone with a vision as a director.
Hell yeah, brother.
I got a pilot deal to make this Save Virgil as a TV show. It never ended up going to series, but it got me in the door. It got me agents. It got me meetings with other producers. And this one producer named Mike Clements, who is one of many, producers I met, I first, got into that development. He's the one who hired me to develop Good Vibes. And Good Vibes is actually an idea that him and I had together.
Good vibes. All right. Brad here's just always been one cool Shaka type dude. I think it's all starting to make a lot more sense.
I ended up, my dream came true. I got my own show. An incredible experience. It was really hard. We were so confident that this was going to be my Simpsons. And so I pulled so many all-nighters. I didn't care. I was like, I have to lay the foundation for this show that's going to be my legacy. And what ended up happening is it was pretty much canceled before it ever even aired. There was a bunch of politics that were outside of our control with MTV and with some of the shows that we were paired with. They aired, but they got no promotion whatsoever. So no one even knew they existed pretty much.
What did I say? What did I just say 2 minutes ago?
The animators gotta market and promote the shows they worked on too?
This opportunity of a lifetime that, as exciting as it was also devastating.
I mean, yeah, to grind on that night and day and just be overly hype about what you're doing. That shit can break you. I'd be in a bad spot from that. I can't even imagine.
This opportunity of a lifetime that, as exciting as it was also devastating. How quickly it sort of crumbled. But again, it got that these experiences just they give you so much more experience and you learn things from them. And
hell yeah, brother. Just right back up on the horse.
The reason it didn't succeed really didn't have anything to do with us, but we weren't a cheap show. The look of the animation was pretty much like The Simpsons. It was like prime time level animation on a eighth of the budget that The Simpsons has. What if we figure out a way to do a show that's so cheap and so simple and so fast that there's no risk, basically like South Park. So Our next show that we came up with, it was called The Legends of Chamberlain Heights. It was about these freshman basketball players who are bench warmers.
I'm detecting a pattern here. Brad likes to incorporate a certain visual in his art. I won't say what. You can make that judgment for yourself. I mean judgment. What did you say? I said judgment. You're being weird. I don't know.
And if you look at it, it's the polar opposite of Good Vibes. It's like the South Park, super simple. But that was a really cool experience too, just challenging myself to figure out how to make a show hopefully as visually interesting and even to some extent dynamic that's super flat and simple, almost like Charlie Brown comics.
This art style looks like it walked so Big Mouth can run.
The pitch. That's a big secret to, I think, the success Mike Clements and I have had is so many people pitch and they either come in with no art or maybe just a couple drawings. We always come in, we've pitched so many things over the years. We always come in with a little piece of content, not just a drawing or two, but a little animatic. Or in the case of Legends of Chamberlain Heights, we just straight up made a 5-minute little, presentation
of butts, of just butts and boobies. Sex sells. This man's trying to get the show greenlit.
And I think all that stuff, without me even realizing it, are what sort of prepared me for becoming a feature director, which wasn't even something I was pursuing. The way I ended up on the Minions was totally by accident. Over the years when I was on The Simpsons, I used to do freelance for The Simpsons marketing department. I made this relationship with this brilliant woman named Gail Harrison, who eventually went over to Illumination. I asked her if she had any freelance, and she's like, "Oh, I'm doing Minions now, but if you can draw a Homer, you can draw a Minion." It's Homer's head. So I started doing.
They're like the same thing. Holy frick.
And I think that my superpower was making animatics. Couldn't believe it, but like a couple years after doing that, just like freelance, I got a call from Chris Meledandri saying like, hey, we're looking for a co-director for Minions 2. We need funny, fresh, new ideas, and you've shown that you can generate a lot of new ideas with your little fancy Storyboard Pro software. That's how I got tossed into it. It was totally unexpected, but life-changing. Biggest difference between, I wouldn't say all TV, but like primetime TV and features is in primetime TV, Simpsons, Big Mouth, BoJack Horseman, we have a really brilliant script that's really tightly written before we ever start, and you stick to that script. There may be a couple little opportunities here and there to add a joke, or certainly later the writers will make some changes, but for the most part, that script that you get on day one is 90% of what shows up on TV. And it has to be that way because like they're making 22 episodes a year and things just have to move quick. In features, there's barely a script. I was shocked. I remember my first day on the Minion, was so excited. I was in the meeting with Chris Meledandri and the other director and the writer. I introduced myself and was like, all right, well, here we go. We're making Minions 2. Like, where's the script? And they all laughed at me. Script? New guy thinks there's a script?
What an idiot. A script for a feature-length blockbuster? Oh, did they teach you that at CalArts, you
Like, that's what we're here for, buddy. Like, we're going to figure it out. I'm like, how do you build a house without a blueprint? There was a loose outline. There was a couple script pages that were, kind of a jumping off point, but for the most part in features, or at least on the Minions, I'm not even sure how it works at other studios because I've only worked at Illumination. Your script is just a loose sort of starting point, and it's kind of on you and the other storyboard artist and the director to kind of like try stuff.
Call me a little crazy, but I just think stories are always stronger and better, well-rounded when there's a solid blueprint in place. That's how I like to craft my stories. I don't just dive in head first. Hell nah, brother.
And then you make an animatic and you put it up on the screen and you all talk about it and you talk about what's working and what's not working. And for the most part, you end up redoing it over and over again.
Hearing that this is how Illumination operates just makes a whole lot more sense for why Secret Life of Pets was the way it was. I remember watching that movie just seeing so many like golden opportunities to create some like real Pixar emotion or like depth in the characters. I guess they just sort of ran along figuring it out as they go. For shame.
And it's heartbreaking at first because coming from TV where you're used to everything you draw being on the screen, you're like, oh, I just spent like weeks on this thing, and it's like in some cases thrown out before you even get to show it because things change so fast.
That is something I could see myself struggling with. I can get attached to my ideas pretty quickly. I just always see so much potential in like how to take things.
But that's just how it is in features. It's very iterative is the word, where you just keep trying stuff and you refine and you redo things, and you have to, as a storyboard artist, know that that's how it is and not fall in love with your work and be ready and draw really loose. That's something I've learned, is to draw loose.
The drawing loose, I do want to get better at. I catch myself like fixating on the lines, like going over and over, or I'm like super tunnel vision on the details. Details that I can guarantee aren't going to even be seen by the reader. It's just like me just in the zone.
We tend to draw all the details, get all the information on the screen, whether it's backgrounds, props, characters, make it all.
There are so many butts in this video. Comedy storyboarding, more like comedy story budding. Yeah, I still need to learn how to improve my comedy.
In features, there's a whole mess of other departments who are going to be designing the backgrounds and doing cool camera moves and lighting. You just need to kind of get the basic idea up on the screen and do it fast, because you're going to be trying stuff. For every idea that makes it on the screen, there's probably about like 50 that are, long gone. So you have to just have the ego and the mindset for that. And that's something that I learned really quickly too, working with some of these feature storyboard artists who've worked in features for decades. Nothing phases them. I'd be crying about something I worked on so hard that got torn apart.
How can you not see the gold? You fool! You fool!
And they're just like, dude, it's gonna change 20 times. You can't get attached to it.
When you're thinking about storyboarding, you see young storyboard artists today. What's some of the mistakes they might make in their portfolio that you kind of always notice?
When I'm looking at a storyboarder, I'm always looking for comedy. And that's the hardest thing. Believe it or not, like really good artists are a dime a dozen.
Oh, it's coming. The hook that was glitched out earlier. I can't wait.
Really good action storyboard artists are a dime a dozen. really good comedy storyboard artists are really hard to find.
So not furry artists. Who'da thunk? Who'da thunk it?
I'm not downplaying action storyboards. You know, it's a skill in and of itself. But there's a lot of people who can do that. But to be able to be funny and inventive and you know, a lot of cleverness and some awareness of comedic timing and comedic staging to it. Maybe it's even in the way they're doing the drawings and the expressions on the faces. That's what I'm looking for in a portfolio is, does this artist really understand comedy storytelling? I often will have like the people who are hiring bring to me these like amazing artists. The drawings are great. Even the camera work is great, but I'm like, it's not funny. Like it's not. So for what I'm looking for,
Simpsons butts, Minions butts, yellow butts. Bring on the butts. That's what Brad's looking for.
Been awesome talking to you.
You too. Yeah, great questions. I love your passion for this stuff, man. It's really inspiring. It was great to meet you, man. I hope someday we'll have to grab a beer in the real world.
I think Brad would get a pina colada instead because of the tropical background thing, and that's like a tropical vacation island drink. No, so yeah, that was a stellar interview. Like, I really love that. I don't normally watch stuff like this in its entirety because my attention span can start to like wander, but Brad kept me hooked. Master of comedy storyboarding and keeping my interest. All right, let me know if you like this. I'd love to do more. This was a lot of fun. See you in another video, and keep it like Brad's storyboard art. Fast, loose, and